Hey everyone, hello and welcome to my segment on Craft Around the Clock this morning. Well, no, it's afternoon now, so here we are in the afternoon. And it's Monday and I missed you guys. I wasn't here last week, but say hello when you come on and we're going to do a fun spring painting. Can't believe it, we're in spring now, so that's going to be fun. This one is not particularly an Easter painting, but it's a spring painting, and it's going to be a little duck in some rain, wearing some cute rain boots, and I'll jump right in and get started. So say hello, I'll bring you up on my computer. If you have questions, of course, throw them out there. And if I don't see them as they're scrolling by, I'll come back and answer them afterwards. So welcome. Hi, Tracy. Thanks for sharing me in. This is a wood piece I got the other day at Hobby Lobby. They had 40% off the wood pieces. So this was a great buy. It was 15, but 40% off. Already painted, like a whitewash on there. So it's ready to go. It has a little jute hanger. So we're going to jump right in because it's a little bit ambitious project, but we're going to get through most of it. So hello and welcome, everyone. Say hello. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you're painting. Tell me what you want to paint. Hi, Milan. Hi, June. Lisa's here. Thank you guys for popping in, but I'll chat while I paint. So all I did was sketch on a little duck wearing some rain boots. I'm going to put some tulips around him or her. And so we will see how that works. Hey, Pam, good to see you too. Hi, Lisa. Hi, everybody. I haven't been here last week, so I did miss you guys. So here we are again. I'm just going to use a big brush. You probably have heard me before if you've watched me. I love to teach painting. Even if you're an absolute beginner, I'd like to get you started. I do not use a lot of paint. I don't use fancy brushes. I start with just basic colors. I mix as I go. So this is just a synthetic, like a 3/4 inch brush. Use what you have, though. Start with what you have. And I know this takes up a lot of the screen, so I can't throw my palette over, but I'll tell you what I'm doing as I go. And I appreciate you watching me. Hi, Charlotte. Good morning. Hi, Debbie. Hi, everyone. I'm going to just take a little bit of blue paint on my brush into my white to do my sky. It's a bit of a rainy sky, but I don't want to go gray and make it dreary. I'm going to go like just kind of a darker blue. And you know what's nice about this piece is it's got a little rim where this edging is, so I don't even have to be careful with my sky. I can just run my brush right around that rim. I'll go around my little design a little bit, but I'm not going to be worrying too much about it. My paint of my duck can cover. So I'm going to paint this little bit of sky. On the sides here, we'll have some tulips. It'll be an April showers, bring May flowers kind of painting. So I am just dipping into blue and into white. I'm not mixing it a lot. I almost like it if the paint is sort of not really well blended. It's just kind of, I can see my lights and darks. Yeah, Pam, I know it's going to be a little bit of a rainy scene, but we're going to make it a brighter blue. Now, that's the thing about being an artist and painting and doing creative things. We can do what we want. We can change reality. We don't have to make things as they could or should be. We just do what we like. So I've got that pretty much that whole background painted. I'm also going to do a little puddle underneath here. I might just do that a little darker blue to start, just so I can see where that starts and where the sky sort of starts and the little puddle ends. So how has everyone been? What have you guys worked on, been doing? What do you want to do? I'm having fun doing some spring paintings now. I've been busy too uploading some of my tutorials over on YouTube, spring tutorials that you might be interested in. So if you don't follow me over there, please go on over and subscribe. I have all kinds of free tutorials over there. I also host my art memberships tutorials there. And so those are, I know you've heard me talk about my membership, but that's where I host our paintings for our library there. But the free paintings I'd love for you to take a look at, because if you like the way I paint and you want to paint, you might want to follow me over there. Hi, Arlette. Hey, Lisa. Okay, so the paint is a little wet still. I'm going to just go right into my white paint maybe, and here and there just make some little streaks. I want to have it look like the rain's falling. I'm going to show you a little technique for raindrops. Sky, the raindrops will be falling in the puddle. Some will fall and make a little splash, but we're also going to see a little reflection of the duck in there too. So for now, I'm just going to make just some little like lines like this that almost look like, you know, the puddle puddle lines. All with the same big brush, just using a more chisel edge. Doing this. I'm all done with that big brush now. So. Oh, Debbie, I have some videos over there. Go over to YouTube and look for one-stroke florals, and I have some one-stroke roses over there you might want to practice and try. Anyhow, okay, so I'm rinsing that brush off. A little technique for raindrops. I'm going to just take a round brush, just a round acrylic. These are inexpensive brushes, but if you take care of them, they will last you. We are here for a 45-minute segment. This is my Craft Round the Clock segment. If you don't follow Craft Round the Clock, please click on the link below. It is every 45 minutes, new creators and crafters are coming on. I feel like I'm very dark here today. I think I have my light on the wrong side, but you can see my painting, and that's what's important. So anyways, keep tuned on the Craft Round the Clock. There's new creators coming up all the time. I was just watching Deb, who lives in Groveland, which is not too far from me in Lakeland here. And so 45-minute segments, they're kind of tough because we have to, really work fast. But usually I finish or show you what direction you're going in. But I'm going to just turn this upside down now, which actually is good for you guys. And I'm going to make raindrops. So I've got just a loaded brush, a round brush. The paint's a little thinner than usual. I want it to almost be a little see-through maybe. Kind of like a watercolor consistency. And I'm just going to press and pull these little raindrops. Now, I don't want them quite so bold. I'm going to add a little more water. And I'm going to try to, while these are still wet, I'm going to just rinse off my brush. And just with a wet paintbrush, I want to pull a little of the paint out so it looks a little like it's clear. So this is a little technique. I make the raindrop. I go in before it dries. Let me come closer to you so you can really see that. So they look fine that way, right? They're just a little raindrop. But if I take a wet brush and sort of scoop out some of that paint, it looks more like it's clear water. Just a little trick, super easy. And so I only did a few raindrops because I want the wet paint to lift. If I did all of the raindrops and then tried to pull out a little of the paint, they would be too dry. So that's why I'll just do as many as I think I can get away with. And I'm just going to make them down here on the water too. And I'm pulling out the little middles. So see, you can see better probably on the darker bit. So see, they're pretty big, but you could do tiny ones too. So I'm going to go back to my watered down paint. And I'm going to just press and pull, make these little raindrops. Again, you can make little ones. I'm going to work fairly quickly. So I'm going to do quite a few. But if you are doing this, I don't want you to get frustrated. Do a few, watch that the paint's not dry, and then come back and just with a wet brush, clean wet brush. I do wash it off because I want to get that white paint off. It's just a wet brush, and now I simply just place it in there and pull. Now you could make the raindrops all coming at an angle. They could be like windswept and coming from the side. And I apologize if I missed some of your questions. I want to get this paint pulled before it dries. So know that I'll come back after and answer any questions. I did it just as a quick sketch. If you want a little pattern, you want to paint this, you want a tracer, send me a message here on Facebook. Just send me a DM and I can make up a tracer. Let me know what size you want it, and you might want to replay this recording and paint along with me. I have a cute painting I uploaded this morning of a mother duck and her ducklings all with rain hats on, which is kind of cute. And that's a free class right now for a little while on YouTube. So take a look, and it's all step by step. It's probably about an hour and a half. So it's a little slower paced than this, of course. So anyway, there we have raindrops. For the raindrops that are in the water, I think I'll just take a little tiny brush and maybe make it look like, let's see, I'm going to look at the photo of the painting I uploaded on YouTube so I can just see how I did it. I sometimes put some little splashes up like this and kind of do a little thing around. Like that is so the raindrops look a little like they're hitting the water and a little splash is coming up. So I'll just do a little line around the bottom and some little splashes. And while I have this little brush, I might just, the little lines we put in lightly with the white as it mixed with the blue, I might just go and do some a little more solid. And now it's starting to look like a puddle versus the sky. We will do a little yellow duckling, and the little yellow duckling will reflect in the water. So what I'm going to do is, because if I want to, actually we might see some of the yellow, but we're going to see the color of the boots, which maybe I'll do pink. But I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and do the reflection when the duck's painted. I think that's the best bet. The side is going to be some tulips. So let's get some greenery in there so that we have a place to put our tulips. I'm going to just get a flat brush. See me using a flat brush a lot. Flat brushes are very versatile. I can get a nice wide stroke, or I can go chisel edge and get a thin stroke, which is cool too. I will try to, once I wrap up here, I'm going to put, actually, let me do it now. I can put the link right here in the comments of that YouTube video with the mama ducks, so you can see that. You know I had it here, but let me just find it, and I'm going to put it in the comments, because if I put it at the end, it might get lost. And let's see, Spring Rain. There she is, Springtime Mama Ducks. And okay, so there is that. There's that link. And then again, if the tracer, if you'd like a tracer for that, you can certainly send me a message, or the one for this too, okay? So I'm gonna get some greenery in there. And again, I just use a real limited palette. I don't have all the colors there. I'm gonna make my own green shades with my phthalo green there. That's not even a color I have to have. I could make it with my phthalo blue, but I'm gonna use yellow for the ducks anyway. So I am going to make some greens. Now, when I'm doing a group of flowers, say, I start dark and then I work forward to be lighter. So I'm going to just make a dark green. And even if we don't get all the tulips done today, you'll see me do some and get an idea of what those are gonna look like. Actually, some tulip petals are very thick. So here's a little trick how I'm doing these petals. Flat brush. I'm just gonna load it up with a dark green. And if I take my flat brush and really press it and wiggle it up, I can get some nice tulip leaves pretty easily. So that is how I'm going to start, just to get something in there to cover. Probably should have gone all the way down with my blue, but I'll do some lighter petals, leaves coming up. And you know what I am going to do though? Hi Sandy, hi Janice, hi Wendy. Okay, I'm going to just, I like this as a puddle, but I do need it to go a little further in front here. So I'm just going to go back, and when I base coated before, I probably should have gone a little more in there. So let me just fill that in for now, and we'll deal with that after. Okay. And just this little bit of sky I didn't really, kind of missed. Another good thing about acrylic paints is we can touch up things, we can fix things, make little mistakes like this, super easy to take care of. And I'm going to start my duck, and then I'll put some lighter green stems and leaves for my tulips there. And I'll watch my time. We're 12:15, so I have all the way till 1 o'clock. So we've got loads of time. We have a half an hour. I know I sort of go full speed ahead because I don't want to leave you guys hanging at the end, but we've loads of time. And that makes it kind of amazing, doesn't it, that we're painting paintings or creating crafts and making cool things in 45 minutes. So I don't want to hear, I don't have time to paint. 20 minutes, half an hour. You'd be surprised what you come up with. Okay, our little duck is going to be yellow. Yellow is a transparent color, especially in acrylic paint. So if you were, say, painting the whole sky and painting your duck over, or if you have a little boo-boo here like I do, you can always just base coat it with white again, and then your yellow is going to cover much better. So I think I'll do a quick little base coat of white. It will help cover my little sketch lines and just give me a little bit of a brighter duck. It won't be on sort of this grayish whitewashed surface, it's going to be on a nice bright surface. And you could do as many coats of this underpainting as you wanted. And actually, same with orange, a little tough to cover sometimes. Let's do it in white to start. And you might need sometimes a couple coats if you're going on a real dark surface. And the secret is to put the coat on, get it smooth as you can, let it dry really well. Don't be impatient and try to get that second coat on too fast because you'll just end up taking off that base coat. So I try to share little tips like that along as we go that you could utilize in other paintings, other projects. He's sort of facing that way, sort of toward us a little bit. I know his boots are kind of facing us, but I think they'll be okay. He's going to have just the littlest bits of his little orange legs showing. So let's just do a base coat there. Now, why don't we base coat in his little boots? So when I'm painting, you'll see I lots of times start from the very back and work forward, landscapes, still lifes, whatever, work in the back, come forward, tend to go dark to light, and then you can build up to add the little fun details, but those come afterwards. You have to get all the other work done first. Remind me, I'm going to put little highlights, little white highlights on my raindrops. I know it's kind of tedious, but it will brighten them up. And so let's do a little base coat. So then, like base coating a lot of the things. And we'll have fun shading the little boots and putting little polka dots on, but we need to concentrate on just getting the color on there first. And I am going to do pink boots, I think. I think pink and teal seem to be a fun combo. So I'm going to get my darkest shade on here. And I will need a few coats because, again, the craft paint, especially on the, is a little translucent. But that's just the nature of the beast, so you can work with it. Just put a coat on, let it dry, do another coat, and it'll all work out. So we're just going to base coat some little pink boots. And the reason I start darker, and that's not super dark, I may just take a little bit of blue with that and make it even darker. If we have it dark to start with, we can add lighter shades as we go and almost leave some of that dark, which could be our shadow, and then get a light pink and do some highlights, and that's going to make these flat two-dimensional surface. It's going to make it look like boots that are 3D. That's a little trick. Highlights and shadows, darks and lights. So I'm just going to darken that up a tiny bit, and let's let it dry. I'm going to actually... I might add a little Payne's Gray in there and just get a really dark, because the front of the boots here, and you'll see his little legs sticking out, and then be a little shadow, a little bit of the inside of the back of the boot. We want a little darker. So I think I'll just take a little Payne's Gray. I don't use black a lot when I'm painting, although I will for his eye. Animal or people eyes where I need black, I'll use it. But I paint color, a lot of color, and I don't like to mix things with black to dull it down. I'll use Payne's Gray. But the eyes, we want black. So I will get a little tiny touch of black out for when we get to do this little guy's eye. And just behind the boots here, it's just going to be a little shadow of a dark that's going to be the inside of the boots. So I'm just going to put that in there now since I mixed that color up. Actually, the paint's drying pretty good on this wood piece. This was as I bought it. If you guys just popping in, it was from Hobby Lobby and it was a 40% off wood. So I bought a bunch of little wood pieces that I'll be showing you guys painting in the next few weeks. But I liked it because it was already whitewashed and it looked a little distressed. It has the little hanger, and at 40% off, it's a pretty good deal, I think. Okay, let's go ahead and get in a coat of our yellow on our duck, because we're going to need a few coats. Like I said, that sort of takes a little bit to cover. I'm going to put a little orange in with my yellow first to get a little bit more of a goldy yellow. But it's much brighter than what it would have been if I painted over the grayish distressed white that was on there. Just having that little bit of a white base coat really brightens this guy up. So we're going to get a nice yellow duck. And I like the color palette, right? We've got a little blue and pink, and we've got the bright yellow that's going to pop. Sometimes you don't think much about color palette, but I try to really think about my color palette before I start. I don't use too many colors. I don't want it to get confusing and too busy. So I do think about color palette a lot, and limiting my palette while I'm painting helps with that. I am mixing a lot of colors, so the colors will be a little more cohesive sometimes when I'm painting, because I'm not just grabbing all different colors, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyways. Okay, so I did a little tiny touch of orange in there just to get that more gold look. And there's not much I can do for shading and highlighting until I get a couple coats of that on there. So while we're doing that, we will also give a base coat to his beak, which I'm going to go with straight orange, as well as his little tiny bits of his legs sticking through. This would be cute. You could write something Happy Spring on here, your name, whatnot. There's all sorts of things you could do to personalize this. Oh, I'm going to get my little duck. I think it's got a beak that goes like this. I wonder if I should have just base coated my beak in yellow too. That might have made it a little brighter, but let's just get that orange on there for now. And while we let that dry, we'll hop over to the tulips, and the acrylic dries pretty quick, which is nice. So I can hop around and go to different areas. I've got a little bit of dark green here for my tulip leaves. So now I'll put some stems and two lighter leaves in. So I'm going to make a lighter and brighter green. Sometimes it doesn't show up really well, so that it shows up a bit. I'm going to put some of them in there like that. But if I add a little white to this mix, it'll make it much more opaque. I've got to be careful. I don't want to do too many strokes all the same. I got to remember that that's not how they would be naturally. We need to like curve them, and I'm kind of just filling in some of the white area there. This is just a little bit of phthalo green and yellow mixed. It's starting to give dimension already though, just by varying the colors. I'm going to go into a little darker for a second and maybe do some stems. So the tulip stems, we're not going to have bunches, but we'll have some tulips here. Let's have that one leaning this way, this way. Some could be shorter and taller. I want to vary it a little bit. Now I'm going to take that light mixture again, but add a little white, and that will just give enough to make it a little more opaque. Using that flat brush still, you can see I can start the stroke pressing, and I can twist that brush right up and get a thin little tip. Some of these leaves underneath are wet, but it's almost nice because it might drag some of that color and with it. I'm being more conscious now of like getting them to be not all straight. I can press and then pull, press and then pull. Some of the little brush strokes take a little practice, but sitting down with a piece of paper or mixed media pad or something and just practicing control of your brush and brush strokes is kind of meditative almost sometimes. So look at how far we've come already. All right, another coat on those boots, actually on the duck as well. And the beak is still a little wet. So rinse off my brush good so that I don't have any green in there. I don't want green on my duck. I want him nice and bright. And I'm going to shade under his wing and some areas of him under his chin. I'll use a burnt sienna, which is kind of a red-brown for that. I'm gonna get a little more bright yellow. And I'm gonna take a tad of white just to get, again, to make that a little more opaque. So get our little guy a little bit brighter. And I think I'll take a little orange first for the shading, and then I'll do a little burnt sienna after. So I would think sometimes you might have a reference photo, but if you just use your common sense sometimes. I just sketch this little duck, and where would a shadow fall? Well, the head would be casting a shadow probably under the chin there, so we'll do that. And can you see how I can get sort of a nice blended shadow, even in acrylics? Because in oils, you have lots of time to shade, but if I do a little bit under the wing, the yellow's a little wet there. This paint's wet, and if I just dry my brush off and sort of blend where I want a soft blend, I can do that. I have time. I wouldn't be able to put that orange on and wait, hours, but I can blend a little bit while it's both of the paints are dry. let's see, I think a little bit on the back of the head, just to make it look rounded. He's got a little bit of a weird shape there, but, you know, I sketched him on kind of quick. So I sort of put that right on, dry the paint off my brush. Don't wash it, I just dry it off, and I just use that dry brush to sort of soften, and that gives me a little bit of a shadow effect. And let's see, is there any place else I want a shadow? Sometimes where the eye sits, so maybe like, that'll be like the cheek and the eye will sit there, but I still don't want it a line. I'll still make it a little smudgy, so it's a shadow. I might give him a little pink blush on his cheek, because it's a little cute painting. It's not a realistic painting of a duckling. So let me go ahead now and just take my white and yellow. So I'm getting a nice brighter, I'm going to a little orange too. I want kind of a goldy yellow, but with white to make it a lighter shade. So I think on the front here, I would like it a little brighter as a highlight. And I put it on and I blend it. That's not enough. It's just a little bit, needs a little bit more of a highlight. His little cheek will be lighter. Yeah, that's a little too white, so a little more yellow. So you can see I adjust on the fly. Sometimes on the palette, I don't know how it's going to look, if it's going to work, but I just adjust as I go. He's going to be fuzzy like a little baby duck, so we can start using some texture in our strokes. I would almost, for a duck, start down at the back end here. Get that lighter in, but if I work from here forward, I can use little strokes that almost look like little fuzz. He's not really feathered yet, he's fuzzy, so we could just, I might want to bring it over a little bit, just for some texture there. So we can make him start to look fuzzy. And the reason I do that is because even if you were painting hair, say, a beard on Santa or something, start at the bottom and work up so all the little layers go the right way. And so same thinking about animals and fur, feathers even, I'm going to work from the end up so that I can give some texture and make him look a little fuzzy, especially on his hair. We'll make his head a little bit fuzzier. And I'm starting with this shade. I'm going to come back with a little brighter white, but I'm going to start not as bright as I want to. Like I said, I work a little darker first. The wing, the same thing. We want the end of the wing here maybe to be the brightest, and start texturing it there. It's subtle still, but I've got a base here, and now I can go and just add brighter and brighter, almost to white in some little areas. I mightn't even need the burnt sienna. That might be too dull and dark. We'll take a look after and see. And the little head here, let's get, I'm gonna have to do it this way. I'm sorry, it's upside down for you guys, but I'm going to, and you know what's tough on this really is when I go to overlap onto the blue, the yellow is so light, it looks like clear and green, but I'm gonna add a little white into that, because I just want these little cute little fuzzy bits on his head. I don't want it to be like his bed head, but I want it to be a cute little thing. Same on his cheek here. And all I'm doing is grabbing some white with these yellows. And it's hard for me to see what it looks like. You guys will see better. That's what I tell you when you're painting, to step back or hold it up to take a picture of it or hold it up into a mirror. It's hard to see what you're painting when you're this close to it. That's why you really need to back up and view it as if your viewer was looking at it. And so sometimes for me to see it in the video is a little telling. And I want you guys, as I go along, to give me some ideas or critiques or changes on things, what your feelings are, because I love to see your perspective, because even when you're the one working on it, you miss it sometimes. So it'd be nice to see what you guys think as I go. And now I'm just getting a little brighter with some of these little highlights, like on the cheek, for instance. I want that a little brighter. I'm not using real smooth brush strokes anymore. I want it to be a little textured because he's going to be a little fuzzy guy. We want him a little lighter in places. Almost straight white on my dirty brush. What do you think? He's looking ducky, right? Is he starting to look ducky? Spring ducky? Just ducky. And now I'm going to wipe off my brush, not clean it, just wipe it off, take some strong white, and I think like on his little cheek I want it a little brighter. I'm going to make that a little pink for a little blush. And wait till we get eyes on him, then that'll really, he'll come alive. Usually I like to do the eyes pretty quickly because... So I'm going into places now with just that white on my brush. And wherever I want, just not everywhere, because then it's not special. If you did it everywhere, it would just look light everywhere. So I just need to hit a few places that I want especially white. Give him an eye, and he will look like he has a little personality. What kind of little eye do we want to do on our little duck? Okay, I'm going to thin down my black paint, really little thin brush. And I'm going to, I think, just do this. Place a line to start. And maybe just a little bit of a bow there. And make this sort of shape line. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. I'm just doing the little black eye first, and then we will let it dry, and we'll go in there and make a little bit of like an iris, just a little stroke, and then what makes it is when you give it a nice white highlight. So let's get the beak in there. We're going to go with that stronger orange now, maybe right on his legs, and another coat on his beak. And that's going to just be a case of a couple coats. While we're waiting, we'll go back to our rain boots. So I've got a little bit dark there, but I want to go a little darker in a few places where I'm shading. For instance, this boot is behind this boot, so that boot would be casting a shadow here. So let's just do a little bit of a dark there. Just like I did before I place it. You can see, right? Kind of, yes. And then I smudge it. And now without doing anything else, it's already kind of a little a dimension. I want to do a little bit of that where the boot front comes up. Okay, so now I'm going to get a lighter pink. So it's just my quinacridone magenta, which that's a color I love. It's a nice pink, and you can make all shades of pink with it. So if I want to now go and get a little brighter where it would be brighter, this is a little more difficult upside down, but I'm going to turn it over in a minute so I can kind of tell what I'm doing. But even from a distance, it's starting to look like little boots. I need to fix it closer to me because I need to get a middle shade of pink in there now. And a little blending. So we've got this little boot, we've got our dark shadow. Our little tips for the front are going to be the darkest. And then we're going to put polka dots on. Because why not? If you look at the YouTube video, you'll see they're wearing little rain hats. You could paint a little rain hat on this little guy if you wished. Alrighty, let's get a little bit lighter on the front of this boot. And I know I work fast sometimes, but that's so I can blend a little bit as I go. This boot's in front, so that would be a little bit brighter. And I'm going to let it dry a little bit before I put the polka dots on because I really do want to get a little brighter pink. So once it dries this one way, I might do a little lip across the top of the boot. That's just going to be a little line there, a little line there, maybe a little highlight on that. Just, and then we're going to brighten up the boots before we go ahead and put polka dot on. The little legs, there's not much to them, but I do want a shadow, so I will take my burnt sienna there, so the body would be given just a little shadow on. I better get that a little darker, it's hard to see. A little shadow on the leg. A little shadow where the boot is, kind of. I know it's a little tiny detail, but in the end, it just adds that last little bit touch to it. And a little brighter in the middle for that. Okay, the beak. That has a little shading too. So let's see, we'll get a little shading on the edge there. Again, I'll get a little darker. So a little shading here. A little shading where the top beak is over the bottom. And that's enough, and then we can make a little lighter too. intense minutes still. So we have time for our tulips and everything. So the little eye, I'm going to take a little light blue. Again, because I don't want to use white and black, it turns gray. And my duck could have a bit of a little light blue eye. So a little light blue. And just a little half circle. I'm sorry, I'm going to do it this way, but I'll hold it up to show you after. Just a little half circle like this to start. Just to get it started. And then I will use pure white to give it a little bit of a highlight. So maybe just, again, with a tiny brush, a little dot right in the corner there. And there, doesn't he look, he's kind of coming alive now. And I could very well, with a liner brush or this brush, which is liner light. Let's see. I got another line. Let me just wet this and see how it works. Just to put some little individual, little fluffy bits of fluff on him. I could take like a liner brush and just, again, I want to work from back to front. I could just put in just some little lines here and there just to make them a little fluffier. Just here and there. And up on, because I do love the little hairdo, so we're going to do that up here too, along his cheek. We'll get a little bit maybe here and there on his chest. Actually, right under his little beak here might be fun to, well, that looks a little like a beard, so we're going to have to smudge that out. I don't really like that after all. I actually want to touch up his face a little under here afterwards. We'll come back later because we're kind of quick here. I might come back and just reshape the underneath with some blue there. I'm going to go with a little bit of a glaze of yellow on his beak. That just might brighten up a little bit. I'm going to go with a little white into my yellow, into my dirty brush, and get a little bit of a highlight on that beak on the top. I want to shape that a little bit this way too. Let's see, like it's kind of going down this way. Maybe a little bit of an orange, a light orange too. I don't want to do too yellow. So let's see, a little bit of light orange. His beak is coming along. He just needs like a little nostril on there. Maybe a little more orange. My orange is really on the yellow side, which is fine, but I just want to get a little more orange in there. Okay, and then just a little nostril. Same little tiny brush, a little dark brown, burnt sienna, and a little Payne's gray would do it. Again, because I don't want straight black. And just a little nostril. All right, and I'm going to finish him up so that we can go and work on tulips. And then you could do fun stuff with him as far as adding a bow around his neck, putting that little rain hat on him, whatever you want. But I'm just going to get the boots a little pinker. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do some polka dots. Really, super simple. Maybe a little bit of what would you call it, along the bottom of the boots, just a little edging. Sort of plant them on the ground, plant him in the water, and maybe up here. And polka dots, you could be as simple as just the back end of your brush into a little bit of white paint. And, oops, like a smooth end. This has got like little bits of threads and things on it, but we'll make it work. Okay. Into a nice pile of white and little pink polka dots. Red boots would be cute too. And now to place him really in the water, he needs a little reflections. So the boots would reflect in kind of a pink. So let's just, almost with just a little paint on the brush, just a little bit of pink to give us a little bit of a reflection of the boots. And then I'm going to rinse off that brush, and then I think I'll go to a little bit bigger square brush or a bigger round, whatever you're using, and get a little bit of yellow. Again, yellow on top of that. Green is going to, blue is going to be green, so I'm taking my yellow, but I'm mixing it with white. Otherwise, we wouldn't get it to cover there on that blue. And you never paint it solid. It's just kind of, let's see, where would the reflection be? Probably be here. So I'm almost taking a very dry brush with a little bit of yellow on it and kind of scumbling it on there. Very dry, almost no paint on there, just to sort of give a little indication. That's good enough. Before we start on our tulips, I just want to show you what I meant when I said I do a little highlight on the raindrops. I would just go onto my raindrops and just do a little, almost a little dot in some cases, or a little comma size stroke. It just gives it that little shine like a little bit of water would have. A little tedious, but not impossible to do. And you can even make little ones, just if you want little vaguely there ones in between. If you thought it needed a little more, you could just do little really washy little drops. Okay, I think I want to try it and see what a little bit of a blushed cheek would look like. A little pink with some white. We'll just see how that looks, and then we'll go for tulips. And we'll just, if we don't get them all done, we'll just show you the technique. But I'm thinking I would like a little bit of a blush cheek on my little, yeah. A little tiny bit of light pink, a little bit of white, just to sort of blend it in. It's hard to see in the video, I think, but it's just a little bit of a pink. Okay, I think I could do a little more with this eye, but I'm going to leave it. And I'm going to do maybe some more leaves, like a blue-green, but let's get our tulips in. So, tulips are, we're going to make them like almost one-stroke tulips. So let's, we only have 3 minutes left, you guys. How did that happen? Okay, so 1 o'clock I have to pop off. I will finish, but I'm taking just a flat brush. Say we're doing a pink tulip. I'm going to do some of the dark strokes first, like I did with the leaves even, say. And here's what we'll do. We're going to just find a stem. Let's put one right here, say. So it's just really 3 strokes for a tulip. You've got one a little curved, one a little straight, one a little curved, just to start. So that's how I'm placing them. I'll do a few of those. You can do curved to one way, straight up, and the other, and that's going to give you the shape of the tulip. And then I will just take my brush that's loaded there with the pink, and I'm going to just dip it in the, just a bit dipped in the corner and a little bit of the white, and I will just go back over that. So I've got a little light side there, and I got a little light side there, and same I can do here. And that's very basic, but it gives you the idea of a tulip, and I think I would probably do some in an orange, like a little bit of a salmon color. I would prefer to let that dry a little bit with a few coats first, but let's get more of an orangey looking one. So you get the idea though. You could make any kind of flowers, but I just thought tulips would be great because springtime, you could do little hyacinths, little crocuses, whatever you wanted. But say we'll do a few lighter color ones. We could go again. You could always start with the middle too. You could go press and do one little stroke up the middle and then do 2 on the sides. It's it's not a big botanical sketch. It's just a little simple tulip. So you can press, 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 and get that nice tulip shape. I'm going to do another one that's kind of down here. And I'm going to, after we get off, continue on. And I will just put a few more coats. So those are a little brighter. They're a little dull there because I'm doing them kind of quick. But I would put a little, coats on, multiple coats to brighten them up. Or, like I said before, I could do some in white and then have a nice bright base. I don't do a whole lot. I do a little bit of highlighting on those tulips. If I start the tulip dark and then I do a little lighter shade and a little bit of white, it works. Now it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to say goodbye. See you guys next week. And I believe I'm on Tuesday. I will let you know. And happy painting. Thanks, guys.